Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dominic again with another episode of Light in the Dark. So I just want to touch on some current events that are going on. I don't know if anyone here in the U.S. has heard about what's happening in Australia, in Melbourne, but this place is being basically overtaken by, you can call it communism, you can call it fascism. The area in Melbourne is basically under full-blown police state martial law. People are being ripped out of their cars for not wearing a mask and refusing to comply to open their door and explain why they're not wearing a mask. They're having their car windows bashed in and then ripped out of their vehicles. There's a few videos actually right now surfacing in Melbourne of, there's this one of a woman who actually had a doctor's note, or a doctor's approved note, as to why she doesn't wear a mask under health conditions, and she's walking in town and is stopped by these two police officers, and immediately one of them grabs her by her throat and is just not even really, asking, like, oh, do you have a doctor's note? Is there a reason that you're not wearing a face mask? No, he just sees that she's not wearing a face mask, immediately gets violent and aggressive towards her, really without any warning, and puts his hands around her throat and starts throwing her around, and she starts resisting, which I 100% support. I mean, this is straight up worse than Nazi Germany, what's going on around the entire planet right now. We are having every single bit of our freedoms destroyed and taken away from us. We are being led into this new world order. We are being treated like cattle. And so she resists, and he just gets full-blown violent. Throws her on the ground, puts his knee on her back, and that's pretty much the entirety of the video. But this is what he's doing because she's not wearing a face mask out in public. She's not even inside a store or a building or an establishment. She's literally walking outside, not wearing her face mask. And this guy immediately gets violent and aggressive with her, with his other cop. And yeah, I encourage people to watch it. I mean, it's a little difficult to watch. It's very angering to watch, but, this is what's going on. This is the current state of Melbourne in Australia right now. I believe Melbourne's in Victoria, the territory of Victoria in Australia. But yeah, that's pretty much what Melbourne is going through right now. The people there are essentially under house arrest. I don't know the politician's name, but he basically enacted a policy where now an entire city block or something like that is basically under house arrest. People can't leave their houses. They have police standing outside of these giant apartment complexes where you have, and it's a couple city blocks, and there's thousands of people living in these, multi-story apartment complexes, and they're all under house arrest. They can't leave their houses because of the pandemic, right? The second wave that all the sleeping sheep are just blindly, buying into and believing. And it's very disturbing. It's disturbing to see just how far these politicians are prepared to go to serve their masters, and how much they're prepared to turn on the people. And I've never placed stock in politicians, but, it's very disturbing to see. What's even more disturbing is to see just how obedient and compliant the police are to enforcing this type of legislation. And I've never placed stock in the police. If anyone wants to know my views about police, well, you should look up Mark Passio's videos on order followers. And that will give you a clear idea of what I really think about the police and the military and order followers in general. Not very good outlook, and they don't deserve one. But even so, it is absolutely disturbing to see just how prepared the police are. People who are living in our neighborhoods, people who grow up in our communities, who were educated in our schools, who were, just how prepared they are to turn on their own neighbors, their own friends and family, their own people, and completely brutalize the people and terrorize the people and just commit complete acts of violence against them, just brutally, violently assault and murder their own people for a paycheck, following their orders. And just how brutal the Australian police have become, primarily in Victoria, in Melbourne. It's disturbing. It's very disturbing to see. And they're going all in. And the police chief in Victoria, this guy is a psychopath. This guy, all you have to do is look at him. And the way he's grinning and smiling while talking about how they're going to have to use excessive force on the people in Melbourne, in Victoria, and how people who refuse to comply with the no mask orders will be arrested, and that, he's basically giving police his consent, his approval, his orders to use as much lethal force as they deem necessary to get these people to comply, and to arrest them, and to punish them, and use the highest levels and forms of punishment to make these people wear these masks, follow these new social distancing laws, and the new norm. And it's absolutely outrageous and disturbing. They're setting up checkpoints out there in Victoria. They're ordering all this high-tech surveillance technology from China and having it shipped over to Victoria. And my heart goes out to the people out there, because you guys, you're going to have to stand up. People in Victoria, you're going to have to really stand up. If you guys just allow this to go on and you don't really do anything or make any noise, and you just want to go along to get along, and you want to keep your head down and pray that it all goes away, it's just going to get worse. And what they're doing in Victoria, Australia, is they're setting an example for the rest of the world. They're setting an example for the UK, for the United States, for all the major countries in the world. This is a trial run. This is a testing ground, that what they're doing in Melbourne, in Victoria, Australia. And they're going to ramp it up even more if the people in Australia don't push back. You guys got to push back hard. Real hard. It's coming down to the wire, folks. These are the end times. This is the New World Order. This is the big move. This is the final stand for freedom. This is the most crucial point in all of human history, right here, right now. We are living in it. We are at the biggest point of human history right now. This is the grand finale. And I don't want to get too much more on Australia. I covered that a little bit, so I kind of want to talk about what's going on in other places. But New York, for example, here in the United States, New York is setting up checkpoints as well. They have checkpoints for people out in New York, basically stopping them, checking them, testing them, making sure that, they're not infected, and if they are, that they must self-isolate. They can be punished up to $10,000 in New York for refusing to quarantine if they test positive. They're just ramping up the mandatory mask laws. Trump's talking about his warp speed fucking vaccine program. And to all you people who think here in the United States and throughout the rest of the world, it's insane how many people really think Trump's just this good guy. To all you people that think Trump's a good guy, you're a fucking moron. You're a fake-ass patriot. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a coward. You're a chicken shit coward. You're a little baby. That's what you are. You're a little child. You're too pussy to fucking stand up for your freedoms and your rights and your liberty and the liberty of those around you. And so Trump comes along and acts like the good guy during his campaign, hasn't done shit. Okay, people want to say, oh, he did this to the economy, he did that to the economy. Look at the economy. You can't tell me Trump doesn't know that this whole pandemic is a bunch of horse shit. If he's so smart, if he's so, all the talk about him playing 4D chess and, he's just, he's planning this out. He has to do this very meticulously. The man's very smart. He knows what he's doing. All the people who talk him up like he's some genius and he's a freedom fighter and he's in there battling for the people, you're fucking morons. You can't tell me he doesn't know that COVID is a bunch of bullshit, and COVID is a bunch of bullshit. Based on their own numbers. I'm not even going to get all conspiratorial about it. Let's just talk about the facts. Let's talk about the numbers that they put up on their own statistic boards, on the CDC website, showing you the statistics of how many people have died from this, and showing you how many people die every year of the common cold, the common flu, and various other things, car accidents, cancer, skin disease. And the number of people who've died from COVID is so ridiculously small. It's as serious as the common cold. During flu season, you don't see people shutting down the world economy, stripping away our rights, turning the world into Nazi Germany, destroying the food supply chain, and then blaming it on the common cold, saying, oh, the food supply chain and the economy is destroyed because of the common cold. No. That's what they're doing with COVID. They're saying, oh, COVID destroyed the world economy. COVID destroyed the food supply chain. No, it was the actions of our governments. It was them shutting down the world, putting us under lockdowns, limiting, how many people can work inside businesses, how many people can, as customers, go inside businesses to buy their goods and services. Forcing people to stay inside for weeks at a time. Shutting down so many small businesses. Admitting that at least a third, and this is based on their numbers, it's probably most, not a third, not half, probably most of small businesses will never open back up. But even they're admitting that, a third of small businesses very likely will never open up again across the world. And they were talking primarily in the United States. A third of our small businesses will never open up again. Oh, but what were you hearing on the radio? How important it is, especially during the actual lockdowns when pretty much everything was shut down and nobody could really go anywhere or do anything unless they were basically working an essential job or going to Walmart to get food. Saying, oh, we got to support these small businesses. We got to keep our small businesses up and thriving. They're our economy. All these things on the bullshit radio, telling, just basically spewing their propaganda like they actually give a shit about small businesses. This is an agenda to destroy the small businesses. This is an agenda to further push the corporatocracy, the corporations having a monopoly over industry and over the market, so that they can collude with governments to serve their elitist, globalist, dark occultist masters that really run this world. You know, for their New World Order agenda, their Agenda 21 agenda. You know, and completely enslaving humanity. Completely controlling everything human beings have access to. Food, resources, land, water, information, access to the market, everything. They're stripping it away from us so that they can control our access to anything. Control us in every single way. So, you know, I kind of ranted, but yeah, to all you Trump supporters, you're a bunch of dumb fucks. You're not patriots, you're chicken shit cowards. You know, if the founding fathers were alive today, and look, I'm not a constitutionalist. I'm not like, I don't place the founding fathers up as gods, you know. They were men, and they were flawed men, and they didn't go all the way in consciousness. Hence why they, you know, established a new government here in the United States when they created the Constitution. They should have left it at the Declaration of Independence and said, we're free, come and try it. But no, they set up a new government, and look, we can debate what you know, if there were insiders in the, you know, within the founding fathers. There were people who infiltrated in there, and they planned this all along for things to head in this direction. If this was a part of the plan all along, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't trust our history, but I also understand from many of the writings that the founding fathers wrote that, you know, these men really did try to create something good, or at least, you know, based on the idea of what we're taught they try to do. It's the idea. Don't get wrapped up on the details, folks. You know, if we go based off of the idea of what they stood for, based off of the writings that they left behind, you know, they would spit on these fake-ass patriots alive today. They would call you cowards. They'd call you Tories. They'd call you redcoats. You know, you guys supported the military and the police. They were against standing armies. You guys have no fucking clue what you're even talking about. You're not a patriot if you support the police and the military. You're a fake-ass patriot. You're a Tory. That's what you are. Look it up. Understand what the founding fathers really thought about standing armies. And really read their writings, because they were very, very well descriptive and meticulous at describing what constituted standing armies. And they were vehemently opposed to standing armies. And what constituted standing armies were the police and the military. You know, wake the fuck up. You know, you have the left fucking destroying society and the Antifa movements, you know, like basically bringing about cultural Marxism and communism, and destroying the food supply chain even worse, destroying, you know, the economy even worse by destroying all these small businesses. Meanwhile, you have the fucking fake-ass patriots out there supporting martial law, saying this is how we're going to put an end to Antifa. You know, get up off your ass and put an end to Antifa, but don't support martial law. You're both parties. You're both fucked in the head. You know, you have the left fucking bringing about complete and total communism, while you have the right bringing about total fascism and supporting complete and total Nazi fascism. You're all a bunch of Nazis, left and right. You're a bunch of... Nazis were communist, socialist, fascist. They were the same thing. It was the Workers' Socialist Party or whatever. They were a socialist party. You're all played, left and right. You're a bunch of jokes. And all you Trump supporters are asshat clowns. And all you people who think that this year's campaign is super critical and important, no. Wake the fuck up. You're all a bunch of fucking jokes. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know what real freedom even is. You have no idea what real freedom even looks like. You know, and this is all thanks to the educational system. And everyone wants to think it's all left-leaning bullshit. Yeah, a lot of it is. And look, I'm attacking primarily the right in this video, because I actually did have a little hope with you guys a while back. I actually had some faith. I knew how much you guys were brainwashed and how played you were. I knew how dumb you guys were supporting the police and the military, and how immoral trash you are for supporting government, military, and police. But I had faith. You know, I had a little bit of hope because you guys at least spoke a little bit of reason. Your understanding of the right to keep and bear arms. Your understanding of, you know, and again, I'm not a constitutionist, but the Constitution is way better than where we're headed. You know, I had hope, and I lost all of it for you guys. Begging for martial law. For fuck's sake, you guys. You guys were the ones supposed to be, like, completely against, you know, martial law and all that. Oh, but we're in a crisis. We're in a fucking crisis. We need militarized police on the streets ordering curfews. Don't even fucking call yourselves patriots. You're a bunch of fucking jokes. Wake the fuck up. So yeah, they're setting up checkpoints, folks. Trump's pushing the agenda. He's pushing the whole vaccine agenda, supporting Gavi. Bill Gates' little fucking project. That psychopath Bill Gates trying to fucking depopulate the planet and force vaccinate everyone. You know, I don't know how many people here are familiar with Dollar Vigilante, but I'm pretty much at the point where I agree with that guy. You know, the idea that for so long he's tried to warn people, hey man, like, this is coming, and now he's kind of in favor of it, you know? If all the brainwashed sheep who will never wake up, they want their vaccines, line up and take them. Take your poison. You know, you guys want to be led into smart cities? Go right ahead. You know, you want to eat your synthetic foods, your lab-grown meat? Go right ahead. You want to have food rations and, you know, only be allowed to eat barely enough to keep your body barely sustained so that you can basically work in these sweatshops inside your smart cities where you have no property, no freedom, no nothing, and you work until you basically die at like 30, 40 years old? Go right ahead. I'm at that point now. The people who will wake up are already either fully awake, partially awake, or just beginning to wake up and see what's going on. Just beginning to question things. The rest of you that are in absolute denial of what's going on, you're gonna walk to your own, you know, extermination. You're gonna walk into your own graves. But those of us who are awake, it's time to stand the fuck up. It's time to get angry. It's time to speak out. It's time to question authority in every way you can. It's time to question this whole narrative. It's time to ask why. Why do I have to wear these masks? Can you prove to me why these masks keep me safe? And how? Can you provide evidence to prove that these masks aren't damaging to my health? Then they can't. But this is what we need to be asking. This is what we need to be pushing. You know, and it's coming to a point, folks. You know, I didn't want to say this, and, you know, but it's coming to a point where the guns might have to come out. You know, where the people might have to fucking physically stand up and push back against this system physically. I don't give a fuck who's listening. I don't give a fuck if this video gets removed. I don't give a fuck. I'll openly say that. We are this close to having to physically stand up against the system and physically overthrow it. I don't want that. I'm not advocating that. I'm saying people need to stand up and say no. I'm saying people need to just refuse to go along with all of this bullshit. I'm saying people need to ask the right questions and stand up to authority and understand their individual sovereignty and the power that we all have as individuals, that we're not slaves, we're free human beings, and these people, these criminals, think, you know, claiming they have a right of ownership over us, all these politicians and governments and CEOs of major corporations and Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci, all these fucking scumbags, we need to be questioning them at every turn. We need to be exposing them. We need to be standing up to them. You know, we need to be preparing ourselves, stocking up on food, stocking up on fruit and veggie seeds, you know, stockpiling on survival gear. You know, get yourself a bug out bag, find a plan B in case shit hits the fan. You know, find yourself a little bit of high ground, but it's time to stand up, say no, and prepare. You know, the time for simply going along to get along and just doing what you're told is over, folks. You know, if you're sitting on this information, you know what's going on to a large extent, and you're just doing what you're told, you're not fucking awake. If you're just keeping silent about what you know, you're not awake, you're asleep. Doesn't matter how much. You can be aware and be asleep. You can be aware of what's going on because you've looked into it, but you're still asleep if you haven't developed that willpower and that courage and that true deep level of caring enough to actually give a shit enough to be like, I don't care what happens to me physically. I don't care what happens to me. I'm going to speak out and stand up. I don't care if I lose my job. I don't care if, you know, I'm ridiculed. I don't care what people around me think. I'm going to speak this stuff out. You know, that's the time we're in, folks. It really is time to get up off of our asses and make a difference. You know, and really try to create some type of change. You know, like I said, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. I see that these controllers are really scrambling as fast as they can to throw their New World Order system in place because their old empire is falling and there's an awakening happening. A small one. I don't think it's the big mass awakening that people are thinking it is. And maybe it is. Maybe people are just dragging ass and they're coming into the party late, and maybe it has to get way worse before those who have the ability to wake up will wake up. But I don't think that everybody here on Earth has the ability to wake up. I think some people are just going to be asleep no matter what happens. They're going to defend their own enslavers to their very deaths. You know, I think that many order followers are going to follow their orders to their own deaths. You know, they're just going to do what they're told. You know, and this is the point, like I keep saying, where humanity's going to break off into two separate camps. It's going to be those who want the New World Order, those who will accept it, and those who are completely asleep and will just complete dumb fucks who will be led into their own slaughter. And those who are prepared to wake up or are already awake and, you know, who have been paying attention and are taking precautions and preparations and who will extricate themselves from this slavery prison one way or another. But again, I'm not trying to push any type of, you know, message of, oh, it's time to pull out the guns, but it's close, folks, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's really close to that time. You know, we are at some very interesting times right now in human history, and you know, we have a window of opportunity like we've never had, but at the same time that window is swinging shut faster than ever before. You know, once they got all this tech in place, you know, the only option is physical rebellion at that point. And I will 100% openly be advocating and pushing that. Without any hesitation. That's where we're headed if we don't stand the fuck up right now. You know, so it's time for you to get your priorities straight, humanity. Every time I'm in public, I try to at least wake one person up. I at least try to make some noise. I complain. I always make sure I don't put my mask on until I'm asked to, and then I ask why. That's what you all need to be doing. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm on lunch break, and my lunch break is literally over in like a minute. I need to run back in and clock on to my slave job. Yeah, we're coming to the end, folks. You know, I mean, if it keeps getting worse, I probably won't even be working there anymore. I'll be bugged out with my wife. You know, I'll try to figure out a way to still put out content out there for you, because I'm not going to just run away. That's not me. I don't run away from a fight. You know, but I will find high ground. so that I have the ability to fortify and fight back more effectively and efficiently. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there.